delightful little anatomy students, we are going to be looking at the Unit 2 reading guide, which you have already done in class, but now you're going to get the opportunity to check your answers and have me, Mr. Coder, explain more fun stuff to you. So let's take a look at the cell. Okay, of course, you already know that we're going to be looking at cell parts and mitosis in this video, but what does the cell do? The cell is going to carry out all of the chemical activities that's needed to sustain life. Okay, these are the building blocks of this fine thing that we call our body, and they can be really, really little, they can be really, really big, they can have different shapes, they can have different functions, so on and so forth. But there are many parts to these little tiny cells. And the first thing that we're going to look at is the nucleus. Okay, the nucleus is broken down into, are we breaking this thing down yet? Oh, nope, not yet. We'll talk about the nucleus in a second. Okay, the cell itself is broken down into three main regions. Number one, we have the nucleus, which is this little fella right here in the middle. Okay, you also have the plasma membrane, which is like the skin of the cell. It's the thing that's on the very outside. So now we've got the core. We've got the outer part. Everything else is known as the cytoplasm. Okay, a lot of times you think, oh, cytoplasm, that's that fluid that's in there. Actually, the cytoplasm includes everything that's not nucleus or plasma membrane. Okay, I think you're thinking of cytosol when you're thinking about the actual fluid. So let's take a look at the nucleus. Okay, the nucleus is, as I was mentioning a moment ago, broken down into three main parts. We have the nuclear envelope, which is like its own little plasma membrane. You have the nucleoli, which is like its own little nucleus. And then you have chromatin, which is kind of like its own little cytoplasm. So the nucleus is like a cell all within itself, okay? What does it do, you're probably asking yourself? It contains DNA, and that's going to be what your body needs in order to have your own personal life code, okay? It's also going to help build proteins, okay? So let's keep on keeping on. The nuclear envelope, as I mentioned earlier, is going to be like the skin of the nucleus. It has little bitty pores which are going to let certain things come in and out. Okay, we have the nucleoli, which is this fellow right here. This is actually going to make ribosomes, and we're going to talk about what ribosomes do in just a moment. Okay, and then we also have chromatin, which is the actual DNA. It's like these threads of DNA that are going to eventually clump up together to form our chromosomes when we get to cell division. That last part, mitosis, which you've already written about. And there we go. There's a wonderful picture of the nucleus. I think I might print that off and put it up in my bedroom. That looks like a nice, it'd make a nice poster, wouldn't it? Okay. Plasma membrane, what is it? Its function is it's a barrier, okay? It's a skin to the cell, okay? It is made up of a phospholipid bilayer. OMG, I remember hearing about that in biology class, okay? A phospholipid bilayer. One side of it has hydrophilic heads, okay? That means hydrophilic, okay? That means that it loves to be next to water. So it's going to orientate, is that even a word? Hey, you're the one who said it. It's going to orientate itself to be close to the water. It's also got hydrophobic tails, which are going to orientate themselves away from the water. And so that's going to make a natural bilayer that does not allow anything to come out of the cell. Okay, so here's that hydrophilic end, which likes water, and here's the hydrophobic tail. And it's going to make a structure that kind of looks like this. And when you put billions of them together, you end up getting this. Okay, and so here's our, notice, I mean, we're talking about one. There's one of these. Okay, this little guy right here, here's one of them, and another one, and another one, and another one, and another one. And they're all over the place. Okay, that's what makes up the skin of the cell. That's your plasma membrane. Okay, let's keep on moving on. There's also glycoproteins, cholesterol proteins that serve as binding sites. All of this stuff which is in here is all very important stuff, okay? It's not just rando whatever, okay? Cytoplasm. Remember, the cytoplasm is everything else. If it's not nucleus and it's not plasma membrane, boom, it's cytoplasm. The fluid that's holding all of this stuff is called cytosol. You have organelles, which do little jobs. Okay, they're like little factory pieces, which do little jobs. And then there's also other inclusions, which are different chemicals, fats, pigments, so on and so forth. Okay, we're gonna start looking at the organelles now. The mitochondria. This really should be bigger. Let's make that a little bit bigger. How about that? Okay, the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. Okay, meaning that it's going to make ATP. We need ATP to make energy. And so if we have ATP, we have energy, boom, look at me. I can be awesome and do crazy things. Okay, that's what ATP does for us. Its structure is it actually looks like a little sausage, and it has these inner folds called cristae. And here's the cristae folds, okay? And the reason that we want all of those little folds is because the more folds that you have, the more surface area you have. The more surface area you have, the more opportunities that you have to make not mitochondria, ATP. And let's do a little talking about some ribosomes. Okay, what does a ribosome do? Its function is to make protein. Okay, that's what they do. Its structure is that it's made up of proteins itself. Okay, it's a bunch of proteins all stuck together that make more proteins. Sounds awesome to me. Okay, where do we find it? Oh yeah, or where is it made? I mean, it's made in the nucleolus of the nucleus. So let's go way on back here. OMG, where is it? There it is. Okay, so it's made right here, and then those ribosomes are going to swim out, and they're going to get spit out of the pores. Yes. All right, where were we? Okay. Also, they can be found in a couple places. They can be found floating free within the cytoplasm, or they can be found studded onto the endoplasmic reticulum, which is the next thing we're talking about. Okay, this is like the conveyor belt of the cell. It's the endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, and its function is that it is going to carry proteins throughout the cell. Okay, it's these fluid-filled canals. If you have the rough endoplasmic reticulum, then that means that it is studded with ribosomes. Okay, when you don't have ribosomes studded all over the place, that now means that you are in the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. So here goes the nucleus. Okay, got a little nucleolus in the middle, making ribosomes. Okay, spitting them out. Once those ribosomes, here they are, they're all studded on this endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, that makes this the rough endoplasmic reticulum. Notice this one doesn't have any ribosomes, so it is the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, we also have the Golgi apparatus. This is the post office of the cell. Okay, what it's going to do is it's going to package up those proteins. Okay, it's going to package them in a nice little brown paper sack and put little clear tape around it, and it's going to send it off to wherever it needs to go. Okay, when the little packages get made. Okay, what's literally happening there is that they are going the proteins are going to make their way to the ends, and then they're going to bud off. Okay, or they're going to pinch off, and when they do, they get in these little vesicles, and then they go swimming around to wherever they need to go. Okay. Next, we have lysosomes. These are called breakdown bodies. Okay, these are going to digest. Well, first they're going to engulf and then digest worn out cell structures or other harmful substances. Okay, so they're actually going to swim up, engulf things, and then spit them out into the outer cell area. Okay, they're just little sacs. They've got these powerful digestive enzymes, and then that's what it does. Okay, peroxisomes. These are very similar to lysosomes. Okay, the only difference is that all peroxisomes are going to do is they're going to change dangerous free radicals into hydrogen peroxide and then into water. Okay, free radicals, long story short, basically it is a substance that instead of having a pair of electrons, it only has one electron, and that one electron makes things get kind of crazy in the world of chemistry. Okay, so that's what happens. And so when you've got a free radical and it does crazy things to your body, you don't want it to do crazy things to your body. So the peroxisomes are going to grab those things up, turn it into hydrogen peroxide, then turn it into water, and we're good to go. Okay. What's it look like? It's a sack of enzymes. The cytoskeleton. This is like the bones and muscles of the cell. Okay. You've got these filaments. You've got microfilaments, intermediate filaments, and microtubules that are going to give you your overall shape of your cell. Okay. Last part of the cell, we've got cellular projections. You've got cilia, which are going to move in a whip-like motion. Okay, so it's going to whip and then it's going to relax. It's going to whip and then it's going to relax. Okay, so it can be used for a number of different things. It might be propelling mucus. Okay, something like that, or it might be used on the outside of a cell to help it move. Okay, we also have flagella. Flagella are, instead of a whip-like motion, flagella are actually like a motor that turns, okay? And it's going to turn and turn and turn and turn, and it's going to make your cell be able to swim like a boat. Welcome back. I don't know about you, but I'm ready to get my mitosis on. So let's take a look at cell division, specifically mitosis, okay? The cell life cycle has two major periods. We've got interphase, which is where the cell's going to grow. It's going to do metabolic processes. It's going to be the majority of the cell life, okay? Then we have a very special time called cell division. And cell division is where the cell is actually going to replicate itself. Okay, so we are going to take a look at what that means. So here goes interphase. Look at all this time that our little happy cell spends in interphase. Okay, the main bulky life of the cell. Then we enter mitosis. Okay, so let's look at what it means to be in mitosis. First off, first part of mitosis is, or first part of cell division is mitosis. This is where the nucleus is going to start to divide. Okay, it's going to result in two daughter cells. So we start off with one parent cell, we end up with two daughter cells. Boom, cell divides. Okay, this time period is going to include prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. The last step of cell division is called cytokinesis. This is where you're finally going to have the cell that's going to bud off, and boom, you got your two daughter cells. So let's dive into prophase. Okay, in prophase, what's going to happen? The nuclear membrane has already started to dissolve and is pretty much gone. Okay, now you have chromosomes, and your chromosomes are going to start to pair up according to their homologous pairs or their identical pairs. And you've got these centrioles, which are special organelles that are used during mitosis, which are going to start to appear at the ends of the cells. Okay, it's going to look kind of chaotic. Nothing's really going on yet. You've just got some pairing up that's happening. That's prophase. Okay, prophase, the first phase. Then we have, oh, well, more prophase. Okay, there's my centrioles hanging out, doing their thing. I got spindle fibers starting to form. My chromosomes are just kind of hanging out wherever. Okay, after prophase, we make our way to metaphase. Okay, now metaphase can be characterized by meta meaning middle. Okay, and what I mean by middle is that our chromosomes are going to line up in, you guessed it, the middle of the cell. Okay, look at them. They're in a nice little line. They're like they're getting ready to line dance or something like that. They're going to do the Cotton Eye Joe or whatever it is you kids are dancing to these days. I don't know. So either way, here's my centrioles and my spindle fibers, which are attached to all of my little chromosomes right here, and they're going to do their thing. Okay, metaphase. Meta, middle, right after prophase. Prophase, then metaphase. Metaphase in the middle. Okay, there we go. That looks great, doesn't it? There's all my little chromosomes hanging out right there in the middle. Centriole, spindle fibers. Fun stuff. And next we have anaphase. Anaphase is where the chromosomes are actually going to be ripped apart and pulled towards the opposite ends of the cell. Now you notice that there's actually a little bit of budding that's already starting to take place here. But as those chromosomes are being pulled towards the end of the cell, that's how you characterize anaphase. Um, then okay, so here's more anaphase. Look at them; they're swimming to the end of the cell. That's so fun. Okay, then we make our way to telophase. In telophase, this is where we're going to start to put the cell back together. Okay, the cell's going to start to look like a new cell. Okay, here's a nice little example, a real life example of telophase. Okay, the nuclear envelopes are going to start to form again. Okay, a cleavage furrow forms. Okay, notice we've only got a little bit of attachment here, okay? And the rest of this has already started to reform plasma membrane, okay? Your spindle fibers are going to disappear. Now we've got two new cells that are hanging out, doing their thing until that cleavage furrow goes all the way across, and then what happens? Cytokinesis, okay? Once that cleavage furrow completely is shut off and you've got two new cells, that is cytokinesis. And that apparently is the end of this video. So make sure that you get all of that stuff written down in your reading guide so that you can be prepared for quizzes and tests. Thank you.